It's a live good afternoon. This is your S24 Early News Update. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa has carried out a significant cabinet reshuffle covering not only security posts but also the economy and the health following days of unrest last month that left more than 350 people dead. In a televised speech on yesterday, Ramaphosa said that he was abolishing the security ministry and placing the political responsibility of the spy agency under his office. Ramaphosa also appointed the Development Bank of Southern Africa's chair, Enoch Godongwana, as finance minister in a cabinet reshuffle, replacing Tito Mboweni, who had asked to be excused from his position. We are joined by our S24 reporter Mark in Cape Town to bring us up to speed on this and more. Good afternoon, Mark. Good afternoon, Mark.
Hello.
Can you bring us up to speed on what has led to these major reshuffle?
The minister, there have been a couple of reasons for the shuffle. In two cases, we've had ministers in the past year who have passed away, one who was appointed to a provincial post, but most significantly, just hours before the announcement, Health Minister Zweli Mkhize resigned. He's obviously been suspended for a while and decided to fall on his sword eventually. And then the other one that was perhaps a surprise for some people was that Finance Minister Tito Mboweni also requested that he step aside, although that has been a long time coming. So in all, there have been 10 changes at minister level and another 10 changes at deputy minister level. And some of these have been welcome, but opposition parties are pointing out once again that there are still some positions that really ought to be reconsidered or changed, and nothing seems to be moving there. There was some impact because of the security issues a few weeks ago. Minister Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nkakula is the only one who's kind of out of a job at this stage. She had been Minister of Defence and Ministry of Veterans since 2012 and was replaced by former Speaker Thandi Modise. So that is a significant change, but some opposition parties feel that perhaps the police minister should have been reassigned as well. But yes, mixed reactions at this stage, but I do think that Enoch Godongwana has big shoes to fill as Minister of Finance going forward.
But what really led to the resignation of Mr. Tito Mboweni?
Well, for Tito Mboweni, he played a very hard game, and there are concerns that the successor will possibly not be able to be as adamant about some things as Minister Mboweni was. The country has had to reshuffle the budget several times as a result of COVID-19. The latest is pressure that's been placed on state finances again because of the extension of the grant for the poorest of the poor in the country, which amounts to less than $25 a day per person. But it's billions of dollars between now and March 2022 that needs to be found and shuffled around from other departments. The timing is perhaps good in that it's early August. The new finance minister has almost 2 months to prepare for a midterm budget speech, and that will probably give us an indication of how much has changed between now and then. But for Minister Mboweni, right back in 2018, he was a reluctant appointment. He came in and took over and has done, in many people's opinion, a really good job in these past few years. No one would have anticipated what COVID-19 had in store for the country and for Treasury, but the minister has been well respected and well liked. But he's been able to stand his ground on issues, and there are questions whether that will be able to hold going forward.
Now, following his resignation, how have the markets reacted to the resignation of Mr. Mboweni and also to his replacement, Mr. Enoch Godongwana?
The markets initially reacted, there was a slight increase in the strength of the dollar over the rand, but the bigger concern really was coming from political parties here in South Africa about the history of Enoch Godongwana. He resigned back in 2012. At the time, he was Deputy Minister of Economic Development. And there was an issue regarding pension funds and potential fraud. Back then, that was under President Zuma's watch. Nothing more was done or said at the time, but he did resign and left his post. And the best that parties today can hope for is that in that ministry, Enoch Godongwana will be able to stick to responsible and tough decisions. As Minister of Finance, there are many challenges that the ministry faces. There is almost only so much pie, and many unexpected expenses that they face at the moment. So it's a bit of a wait and see in terms of how things will pan out from here. I'm sure that the opposition parties are not going to give him any breathing space, and whether or not that impacts on the rand in the months to come remains to be seen. But there are some who are of the opinion that it's only been a question of time before the country has to go to the IMF or and borrow money, which the country has avoided to date. But many analysts have believed that is something that is inevitable, and it's going to be interesting to see if the new finance minister is able to actually avoid forcing the country down that route.
Now, Mark, are there other reshuffles that we need to keep our eyes on for now from the president?
Well, the other big change with this shuffle is that the Department of State Security has actually been, the ministry has been shut down and brought within the presidency. So, I think today one might feel, well, that's a good thing, as a positive thing. The argument is that the president can be more hands-on. Of course, in the wrong hands, perhaps it could come back to bite citizens of the country in the future. But it does indicate an acknowledgement that what happened a few weeks ago with the violence and the looting in the country is totally unacceptable. It cannot happen again, and there needs to be a better handle on the state security situation. So there's also a splitting of internal and external security, and so it's hoped that this is a step forward, but again, it's going to come down to who has the reins and how they operate in the months and years to come. There is a very imminent threat just in the coming weeks. There have been rumors and speculations that there could be more trouble with regard to supporters of former President Jacob Zuma. So it'll be interesting to see how this portfolio reacts and whether it's more streamlined and more efficient between security, police and the defense force.
Now, Mark, following the reshuffles, is this an indication that Mr. Ramaphosa had lost confidence in the people he handpicked to run these ministries?
The trick seems to be in the name cabinet reshuffle, and it seems to be something that doesn't change in South Africa. Like reshuffling a deck of cards, most of the cards are still there. Very few people have actually left ministry positions. So it does indicate that there is always a political consideration with every single post. There are supporters and perhaps these days factions with the ANC, within the ANC, that need to be appeased. Ministries such as education and higher education have faced criticism for a long time, but with your Ministry of Higher Education, Minister Bladen Zamandi has been there a long time. He's the leader of the South African Communist Party, an important tripart alliance partner. No reference to him at all, no changes there. And there's some speculation that perhaps the police minister not budging from his position is also linked to the who's who of leaders within the KwaZulu-Natal province. We've got former President Zuma, who's currently sitting in jail. The health minister is from KwaZulu-Natal province, a former health minister who's now resigned, Zweli Mkhize. And some believe, well, perhaps Minister Bheki Cele is the compromise and the one who should stay on, so at least he represents that element and that support base within the ANC from that strong province. So yes, it remains a balancing game and perhaps an ongoing situation where the president does need to compromise, negotiate, and try to keep everybody happy as he makes changes that are deemed necessary to improve governance in the country.
Thank you so much, Mark. Before I let you go, anywhere that you'd love to put across?
Well, just that as I say, it's the shuffle element is a bit frustrating often for onlookers. There are some posts that some people feel, the people shouldn't be rewarded with a different post. They should be moved on and perhaps some young blood brought into the cabinet. One criticism there is certainly the average age of cabinet ministers. Very few young ministers coming in. But this has been par for the course for the ANC government, and no surprise really to opposition parties. So one can only hope that those who take up new positions do so with renewed vigour, and that we see benefits. The other interesting element perhaps is the splitting of two departments. There's now a separate Department of Water. Government has realised that combining that with rural development or social development has been a mistake, in that water itself is an extremely important position, and there are many elements to it. It's not just opening a tap and water comes out. So there's hope that that will hopefully address some of the issues that have come up in that ministry in recent years.
Well, thank you so much, Mark, for your time, and thank you so much for being with us on this conversation. Well, that was Mark, our S24 reporter, all the way from live from Cape Town, South Africa. That's all we have for now. Catch the next news update at the top of the hour. Remember, S24 is your first and only Zambian 24-hour news channel that continues to be at the source of your story. Good afternoon.